Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back for today's action figure review video. So, as I've been talking about over these next couple of weeks, I'm pretty much going to be hot and heavy in doing a lot of these review videos because, man, it just seems like every day I'm getting in new figures for review. So, yeah, I'm pretty much going to be swamped with review videos for these next couple of weeks. And it's not just, the companies that are simultaneously releasing all these figures, but I am still actively purchasing a lot of grill pieces off of eBay as well. And when I say grill pieces, man, I am talking about actual grill pieces. So amazing stuff to be looking forward to in the near future. Today, Grapplers and Gimmicks. Generally, when it comes to Hasstel Toys, I've always said that Hasstel Toys is probably the one line that is the most, that probably best resembles the 1990s WWF Hasbro figures. Now, I know when it comes to Hasbro, most people are going to look like, no, man, you're crazy. The 2016 to, modern day or most recently, because they're still active, the 2016 to current Mattel Retros. Because they are called Retros for a reason, right? Because they are supposed to be mimicking the Hasbro figures. But when you look at the Retros, I mean, they are supposed to be Hasbro-esque, but I don't like them. I mean, I don't hate them, but I kind of feel like the Grapplers and Gimmicks figures are more Hasbro style than the Retros, in my opinion. But so I give Mitch and the guys over at Hasstel Toys, I kind of give them the most credit for being as close to modernizing the Hasbro figures as possible. But this newest release, if you guys been paying attention to a lot of my most recent review videos, they haven't been positive. Like, if you've seen the most recent Series 9 release from Big Rubber Guys, to me, I think that video, Series 9 from Big Rubber Guys, was easily my least favorite figures from them. The most recent review from Zombie Sailors with the snake variant of Kevin Sullivan, yeah, that was actually a pretty good figure, and I actually gave a very positive review on that figure. But previous to that, Zombie Sailors, a lot of their figures that they've been coming out lately, I've been very critical of their figures because they've been just really, really bad. And now I'm getting these figures, and I have been, opening up a lot of my duplicates, obviously, to pull these figures off the card. So I had a quick chance to take a look at some of these figures. And I kind of mentioned something like, I really think that Grapplers and Gimmicks should have really slept on these figures. I'm not a fan, if we're being honest. I feel like all of these companies are rushing to get as many figures out, and they're all putting them out simultaneously. Like, they're all trying to beat each other to the market, and they're all rushing to get out as many figures as possible. I get it. You want to get as much out because you're trying to capitalize and earn as much profit, but man, by doing that, you're hurting quality. And the figures we're going to look at today are easily, in my opinion, guys. You might feel differently when you see these figures, but my personal opinion, I think this is probably some of the worst figures that Grapplers and Gimmicks has ever produced. Are they worse than the Smoke Train figure that they produced? Which I think a lot of people are probably going to argue Smoke Train is probably at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to Grappler and Gimmick figures. Because Smoke Train, I think many people are going to look at as kind of like a Simpsons likeness, which I actually kind of like the Smoke Train, but a lot of people think that's probably one of the worst. I think it's not something I ever criticized, but a lot of people have some kind of hatred for it, but to each their own, I guess. Ahmed Johnson. I mean, Ahmed Johnson was incredible on card. And when he's put together, he even loose, he looks amazing. But because the figure falls apart, maybe that has some criticism. But the figures we look at today are, in my opinion, they're just not. I would have easily passed on these figures. But let's pull the figures up and we'll go a little bit more in depth. So first one I want to look at, and this is actually one character that I was extremely excited about, and this is the one I was looking forward to the most. And this was James Ware, Coco Beware's figure. So James Ware Jr. So generally, when it comes to characters that you already have from the 1990s, from the WWF Hasbro run, do you really need the same characters in Zombie Sailors? Do you need them in Grapplers and Gimmicks? Do you need those same figures again in, like, let's say, Mattel Retros? Well, you're getting a lot of these same characters in Mattel Retros with, like, Ultimate Warrior, Undertaker, etc., right? So, I don't necessarily see an issue with, like, let's say, Grapplers and Gimmicks releasing, like characters. So getting Coco Beware, not exactly a problem. Plus, this Coco Beware, I think, is light years better than what you got from Hasbro. So absolutely no qualms about getting a Coco Beware in Grapplers and Gimmicks. Not exactly a fan of Coco Beware. Maybe as a child I was, but as an adult, I'm indifferent, I guess. So, when I saw this was one of their pre-orders way back when, I'm like, you know what? This was one of those figures. I'm like, heck yeah. I was dying for this figure. This was one of those figures I was really excited about. In the, what was it, Monday? In the Monday video that I posted for Zombie Sailors, one of the complaints that I had about the Kevin Sullivan figure was the card back. Now, the card back was absolutely amazing. The graphics, the picture of the Sullivan figure was amazing, right? But one of the things that I've been loving with, like, Epic Toys and, Big Rubber Guys and Mattel Retros, all of these new line figures are coming out with these easy release sliding cards. You slide the card back out and you can easily remove the card packaging so you can easily display your figures, right? So if you ever want to reseal that figure, if you, for lack of a better term, put that figure back in its packaging, bring it back to mint on card, you can do that. And it could be, you gotta have your beautiful 100% mint on card figure. But Zombie Sailors is not doing that. Grapplers and Gimmicks is not doing that. And I don't understand why they are not adapting to the more modern day, card backs. And, I get this little scraper, kind of like what you use at the warehouse, right? And I cut underneath the bubble, and I get underneath the bubble as pristine as possible so that I am not destroying the card and bubble, to lift the bubble enough so that I can just slide the figure out and make the card so I can reseal it if I need to. So it's nice and clear. I don't know what kind of glue that Grapplers and Gimmicks use, but I could not get underneath it. I ended up completely destroying the card, and I did not want to do this. Okay, so this is ruined. This is trash. I'm gonna end up throwing this away now. A lot of these, I saved these. I literally have half a dozen boxes of everything. Every time I open up a package, these don't get thrown away. I wrap them up and I box them up, and they go in the garage, and they're shelved, and they're neatly stored away. And in the future, if I ever need to reseal these or, sell them or whatever. Or if I ever do want to throw them away, I can do that. But Grapplers and Gimmicks, Zombie Sailors, all you other companies out there, please, for the love of God, move to the slide cards because this is unacceptable. I don't want to destroy my cards like this. But the figure, I don't know what, but I kind of look at this figure. He kind of looks like Arsenio Hall to me. But he does have that beautiful high energy look. And if you remember where is he at? His Hasbro figure was just very simple, plain yellow pants. So I like the fact that they actually gave really nice, detailed, kind of like the Owen Hart Series 7 figure, right? So this is exactly what this Koko B. Ware should have looked like. Very similar to that of the Owen Hart or even the Jim Neidhart in Hasbro. But beautiful figure. Good, solid legs. Solid piece all over. Great fighting pose. Great aesthetic look. I mean, this fantastic. And like I've always said, all these companies now, they're all stenciling their figures. And this does say 2024. Does this move? This does not. Only because his hand is like this instead of this. I don't know if that bothers me. But so Frankie, I don't know how. I have not been able to figure out how to situate his freaking bird on his hand. Like, which way does it sit? Is that the right way? Okay, maybe that's why his hand is like so. Okay, maybe that. Okay, that makes more sense if that's the case. I've been trying to fit it on the left hand, but okay, that's beautiful. So this here, the Koko B. Ware is probably, among all these figures, Koko B. Ware is one of the two figures that I actually really, really enjoy. And there's probably two other, all of these figures have their own uniqueness. Like, I don't despise any of these figures. Like, there's certain aspects of each of the other 6 figures we're gonna look at. Of 4 of the figures, there's certain aspects of the other 4 figures that I'm not a huge fan of that kind of bother me, and I'll explain. But the Koko B. Ware, to me, I think is a must-have. It's just that card back. Well, I don't know what kind of glue that they use, but this is not Mabel. You don't need to put extra thick glue on the card to keep the figure from, busting through the bubble and having it fall off the card. It's not going to happen. But this is an absolute beauty. The other thing, I have no idea who this is, but Tony Anthony. So why is this guy named Tony? Tony or Tony Anthony? I'm not familiar with who. I have no idea who this is. I just think it's a great figure. And like I said, I've always said this. I don't care if I don't know who the person is. It's irrelevant in my eyes. I just care, as a collector, I just care about the figure. If it's a great figure, a good figure is a good figure. And this is a really solid, awesome piece. And this was something that you were not sitting around as a pre-order, having to wait a million years to pick this guy up. He has a really fantastic look to the figure. I like that he's kind of got like that Hillbilly Jim, LJN type of deal. But unlike Hillbilly Jim, where if you look at his coveralls, blue coveralls, even the handkerchief that kind of like ducks out, Even that's all color blue. So I like the offset with the handkerchief or the shop rag, whatever. So that is a beautiful look. The removable accessory with the plunger. This is a gorgeous looking piece. I love this. This is actually one of my favorite Grapplers and Gimmicks figures. You know what? I got 2 of these. I'm going to take one of these out. Does this close? It does not. But, oh man, that is awesome. That is too sick. I love it. They got a little deuce in the toilet. But this is a freaking killer accessory to go with. I mean, he's already got an awesome accessory with the plunger, but I don't know who this is. I have no idea what the story is behind this character, but this is freaking phenomenal. I would like to know more about this guy. If anybody knows any backstory about this character, this is awesome. You know, great pose, great aesthetic look. This is absolutely incredible. Like, this is, like I said, I think this is one of my favorite figures from Hasstel Toys. You know, Mabel and Mo will still be my all-time favorite figures from the line, but this right here might be one of my top 10 favorites. So I am going to be going a little bit quicker because we're hovering around 17 minutes, and you guys know I don't want to be making these 30-minute videos anymore. So who is the next one? Let's go with this guy. I think this is an interesting guy. I don't know anything about this character, but I like this figure, so I thought maybe he would be a good one to pick up. Dan Spivey. I actually did some research on him when I first bought his figure to try and learn about him, but I don't remember who he was, what I learned about him. Dan Spivey, 95. Yeah. So, unfortunately, like I said, I don't know anything about these guys, so really, when it comes to these characters, it's going to be more looking at the figure than anything else. So, not a bad figure. I mean, fighting pose is what it is. With the left arm in as close as it is, that kind of bothers me. It kind of reminds me of, think Hasbro and think of like Atom Bomb and Crush and Mr. Perfect and, you know, those guys with like one arm in out some like so and the other arm being like way out like so. That kind of reminds me of this, where one arm is in more than the other arm is. So not quite exactly the same. You know, obviously not identical, not even close to being identical, but it kind of has the similarities in that sense, where one arm is in further than the other. So that aspect, even with the Hasbro figures, has always bothered me. So when I look at this figure, I kind of get that same frustration, kind of. But I look at this figure and I think SD Jones from LJN. And you guys know the yellow shirt SD Jones from LJN is one of my all-time favorite figures. One of my top... I mean, I had him at number 10, but realistically, if he's not number 1, he's like a top 3, top 4 figure. So, and I just kind of love kind of like the little Hawaiian shirt. You know, that's pretty freaking awesome type of deal. So, this isn't a bad figure. I just don't know anything about the character. I mean, is this a top 10? Probably not. Top 15? Maybe. Top 20? Potentially. It's a good looking figure. It's adequate. So, this one, these last 3 are, I don't want to say poor. They are probably average to below average figures, though. And they're basically all the exact same figure, so that's why they're all basically... they could all be classified the same way. The first one is Downtown Bruno. Realistically, I didn't know who that was based on the name, and someone had to kind of correct me, be like, "Yeah, that's Harvey Whippleman." I'm like, "Really?" And sure enough, if I actually got the card and saw the face, I'm like, "Oh yeah, that is definitely Harvey Whippleman." So, so here's the thing with these last three guys. I actually love the fact that all three of these guys got a figure. I have no qualms with any of these three guys being made. I think it is brilliant that Mitch was able to get all three of these guys signed and all three of these guys to get a figure. So, not an issue picking up these guys. It's just, one, the fact that all of them have the same pose. That's an issue. Number two, oh man, I hate the winter time. Well, actually, I love winter. I love the cold, but my nose is always stuffy. It bothers me. Two, not only do they all have the same pose, but this right here, if you're going to put a microphone in everybody's hand, I would want the hands to be made to a point where the microphones can actually be serviceable, because I mean that's worthless. Make it so that the microphones, when they sit in the hand, it's nice and snug. With this right here, you kind of had to sit there and you had to like go back and forth and you had to wiggle that darn thing in there. It made it super freaking tight. This was perfectly made. You had to struggle to sit there and wiggle this plunger to get it inside the hand. But why? Why do you make the microphone so loose where it serves no purpose? Like, you gotta literally put the microphone so far up. You gotta keep these things stationary on a table, on a shelf or something, to basically keep it where it is. I want the microphone snug in the hand where you gotta like kind of like wiggle it in there so it's tight. Where if I turn this thing upside down, that microphone is gonna stay in his hand at all times. And otherwise, this is a worthless accessory. Now, the bag is adequate because, as you can see, the bag is, for the most part, I feel like the bag eventually might kind of come out of his hand, but overall, it looks like it's staying in there pretty well. But for Harvey Whippleman, I mean, his great character is another manager you're being able to add to the collection. So, love the fact that Harvey Whippleman is being added to the collection. No qualms about this figure. And I think that right there with the microphone, I think that is the biggest issue. Additionally, Slick from Zombie Sailors. My biggest complaint about the Zombie Sailors Slick was the stupid Lego head, right? They didn't give him a real head. They gave him that little Lego top. And I hated that. I'm like, you know what? No, I want a real head, like so. Bonus. That hat was also kind of squared off so that when you take the hat, you kind of like, it snaps right on. So when you turn the head upside down, that hat, it's snug, it snaps on. You can sit there, wiggle it around all day long, and that thing's not going anywhere. But this right here, there's no snap. It barely rests on top of his head. So, again, the hat, you got to have a stationary figure, not move anywhere. If you put this and there's like the slightest breeze, this thing's going to go flying. So imagine if you had this in a room and you had a fan blowing. This thing is going to go flying. So you can't even have a fan going in a room or an air conditioner. Otherwise, this accessory is going to get lost. I don't want to say it, but another worthless accessory. Grapplers and Gimmicks, I love you guys to death. one of my absolute favorites retro figures, but accessory wise, these were very poorly done. Another character that I am so grateful was made, Lord Alfred Hayes. When I got my custom Lord Alfred Hayes LJN figure, I'm like, awesome. I was so grateful to get that figure, because how often do you get a Lord Alfred Hayes anything? But Lord Alfred Hayes as a retro figure, kind of joining the Hasbro style figures. And like I said, he's just, all of these figures, they're literally the exact same piece, just different paint jobs, same body types, same exact hand positioning, everything. And it's all microphone, same issues. So, good looking figure. And the last piece, another one from childhood, who was always all over Coliseum home videos. Oh man, his photograph doesn't do him justice though. I would have preferred an actual photo, but this one is some kind of computer CGI stuff. I don't like the photograph on this one. But Sean Mooney. I mean, is Sean Mooney even still alive today? I mean, I would assume so. I mean, he wouldn't be that old. I mean, he was probably in his 30s or so. 30s or 40s, I would say, in the early 90s. So, I mean, he might be. I mean, all of these guys should probably still be alive. I mean, Lord Alfred Hayes might be gone. I mean, he was an older guy. He was probably in his 50s or later in the 90s, so yeah, he might be gone. But Sean Mooney should still be alive. I mean, I don't know why they would want to take an actual photograph or whatnot, but I'm noticing that on a lot of these figures, though. But Sean Mooney, I mean, literally, all of these are the exact same figures. Yes, it's just showing the Rougeaus, Pierre Quillette, Jacques Rougeau, Coco Beware, Sean Mooney on the back of this card. And where's his microphone? Oh, I lied. This isn't exactly the same because this one has a pointer finger. So they gave you a little Sergeant Slaughter version on this one. But take away the pointer finger, everything else about this figure is identical to the other two. Paint change, that's about it. Paint change and pointer finger. That's all they did. They swapped out the heads. So, and this is also what drives me nuts, guys. WWF Hasbro in the 1990s, they were $3 figures. Now, depending on where you bought the figures, maybe they were $5, maybe they were $6, but essentially they were $3 to $5 figures. Even today, with inflation, Mattel Retros sells their figures for $15. Based on today's dollar, $15 for these figures are fair. They're fair market value. But when Zombie Sailors and Grapplers and Gimmicks and all these companies charge you $40 for these figures, that is severe overpricing, okay? And for these particular figures, like Harvey Whippleman and Sean Mooney and Lord Alfred Hayes, they're all the exact same figure. You're telling me that Grapplers and Gimmicks couldn't bundle those three figures together and be like, hey, they're the same figures. They were very easy to make. swap out heads. We couldn't, put those three together for like $30, and you know, uh, customer loyalty or something like that, or offer it to, like, again, maybe not even offer it to everybody. Maybe offer it to fans who've been buying all of their figures, buying consistently from them or something. You know, offer it to like 500 people or something like. So, I don't know. The fact is, none of these figures are worth $40. I mean, none of them are really worth $40. Not any of the figures they've ever made, and that's not just Grapplers and Gimmicks. That's any of these companies that are making any of these figures. I mean, any of these things that are, if they were coming out $15, $20, that to me is market value. So, and like when you get on eBay and you see people trying to sell these figures, and because I've talked about in the past, a lot of time, you hit pre-order and you order an item, and 2 months later, 3 months later, hey, get your figures now before they sell out, and you completely forget that you pre-ordered those items already, so you order 2 more items. Another 2 months go by, 3 months go by, you get an email, get your order items now before they sell out, and it's like, oh man, they got new items in stock, and you completely forgot that you ordered those items, and you order 2 more. And when the items come in, you got like 6 freaking whatever, of those items. And then you try to sell those items, try to, price them up. You sell them for what you paid for them. And, maybe you paid, I don't know, you buy a 2-pack for $80, and you try to sell it for $80, and someone on eBay tries to sell, offer you $40 for them. That tells you what the market is for those figures. Or you buy a Mark Merrill and you pay $40 for it, and someone's offering you $15, $20 for it. That tells you what the market is for those figures. So, I don't know. I just wish that everybody would get together as a collective and be like, tell these guys, stop it. Your figures are not worth that much. But, we're fans, and, we want to support these small businesses, but by supporting them, we're also screwing ourselves. That's it, man. I'm going to stop my complaining. I mean, I'm still a fan of the company. I mean, don't get me wrong. This was just a bad lot of figures, but overall, man, I mean, I've always been very appreciative of what Grapplers and Gimmicks have done. I mean, if I haven't loved the line, I would not have bought every one of their figures, right? You got a couple of really fantastic figures in here. Got a couple more that were, average, or one more that was average, and a few that were average-ish to below average. Not any of them were horrendous, but definitely among all of the figures, all the pickups that I've gotten from Grapplers and the Gimmicks in the past, I mean, this was easily, my least favorite pickup from them ever. So, among all the videos I've ever made for Grapplers and Gimmicks, this is probably going to go down as one of the least positive reviews I've ever done for them. So, if anybody's wondering, hey, has Grapplers and Gimmicks done anything to you to get a negative review? And this isn't really a negative review. I just no. I mean, nothing's changed. No negative interaction, nothing like that. It's just I got the figures in, and I just wasn't impressed. It's just as simple as that. But and destroying the cards kind of bothered me, but no, nothing's changed. No negative interaction or anything like that. I'm just not a fan of today's figures. That's it. Guys. But if you are interested, if you did like the figures and you are interested, I mean, I'm pretty sure G&G still has the figures available on their website, and I think you could buy the bundle of 4 figures, or you could buy the bundle of 6, and the bundle of 4 were the 3 managers plus this guy, or the bundle of 6 included these 2. So if you get the bundle of 6, I think that was like, I don't know, $200, something like that. $240. Probably $240 is more realistic. $40 a figure, $250, something like that. Well, $40 a figure would put you at $240, so that's more realistic. But that's it for now, guys. Tomorrow, let's see, tomorrow will be Thursday. Normally Thursdays have been eBay spammer videos. As of right now, I don't have anything planned like that for tomorrow. So maybe we'll do another action figure review video. Possibly, we might get into either Wrestle Something Wrestlers or the kayfabe figures. I haven't decided yet. We'll see what comes up on eBay. See if something, or I might do a positive eBay review video, because I need to start giving shout outs, because there's some eBay people that I buy from who get a lot of negative traction, which sucks because they're great sellers. But if you look at their eBay, they have like 20 or 30 negative remarks. It's like, dang, how do you have so much negative feedback when I bought from them a ton and they give great service? So it's like weird. But I'm gonna close the video here, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in the comments, and see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.